The African savanna seems peaceful beneath its motionless golden grass. But behind that silence, every living creature is preparing for a new battle for survival. Comment Hasson if you think the savanna is the world's most brutal battlefield for survival. The dawn begins to cast a pale golden light over the arid African savanna. Hot winds blew across the tall grass, which swayed gently in the vast plain. A herd of African buffalo slowly makes its way across the dry, cracked ground in search of any remaining water after days of intense heat. The bodies, weighing nearly 2,000 pounds, moved continuously side by side. The young were kept in the middle of the herd. Every movement was met with heightened vigilance. Because the savanna has never truly been peaceful, amidst the golden grass ahead, the lionesses were silently lowering their bodies close to the ground. Noir, they moved extremely slowly, step by step, through the hot dust to avoid being detected. Female lions are the most dangerous hunters in the savanna. They can accelerate to nearly 50 miles per hour in short bursts, and often work in packs to separate prey from the rest of the group. A lioness began to circle to the left of the herd of buffalo. The other one silently approached from behind. The target wasn't the adult, but the weakling. Then the final moment of danger arrived. A sudden, explosive impact sent dust and debris flying across the savanna. The buffalo herd panicked and split into groups. The cubs slid violently through the hot dust as the lioness kept pressing close behind. The distance is getting shorter and shorter. Perhaps, if you had clicked like sooner, this calf wouldn't have been in such a dangerous situation. But just then, a fully grown buffalo suddenly turned around and dashed through the dust cloud at incredible speed. The pair of thick, rigid horns slammed forcefully towards the predator at extremely close range. The lion immediately jumped to the side, but the buffalo herd began a coordinated counterattack. The ground shook violently as a series of gigantic bodies turned back into the battle. A buffalo charged straight ahead and gored the lion, sending it flying off the ground amidst a chaotic cloud of yellow dust. In the wild, buffaloes don't just run away when being hunted. They possess extremely dangerous pack attacking and collective counterattack tactics. When the entire pride turns to protect its young, even large predators like lions can be severely injured or trampled to death in the chaos. Savannah nearly exploded amidst the fierce counterattack from the entire herd. After several tense seconds, the lioness was finally forced to flee. The buffalo herd remained in a line, shielding the calf, continuously lowering their heads in a threatening manner. The hunt was a failure, but in the savannah, today's failure doesn't mean it's all over. Here, it's not just about brute force counterattacks. In the distant grasslands, other predators are beginning to encircle their next prey. The savanna gradually gets warmer as the sun begins to rise higher in the arid African sky. Winds carrying hot dust constantly blew across the vast grassland. Amidst the endless expanse of golden land, a herd of zebras is slowly moving toward a distant water source. The sound of horse hooves echoed steadily on the dry, cracked ground. The black and white stripes blend seamlessly together amidst the low grass, gently swaying in the hot breeze. From a distance, everything seemed very peaceful, but beneath the low grass ahead, predators had begun to appear. Another lioness slowly lowered her body close to the ground. His eyes were almost locked onto the herd of zebras that were getting closer and closer. On the other side of the meadow, another lioness also began watching closely from the right. Lions don't hunt using sheer strength. They hunt using coordination. Each individual silently maintains its own position, forming a multi-directional encirclement within the vast savanna. Noir, don't rush out too soon. Every movement was incredibly patient. Because if the zebras detect danger even a few seconds in advance, the entire hunt could fail. The gap started to narrow more rapidly. A lioness continued to press close from behind. The other one silently blocked the escape route ahead. The herd of zebras was still unaware that they were surrounded. Until a sudden explosive leap erupted from the golden grass. Dust instantly erupted in the savannah as the lioness charged straight towards the herd of zebras at incredible speed. The entire herd panicked and abruptly broke formation amidst the resounding hooves echoing across the parched grassland. A young individual began to fall behind. Immediately, they all changed direction and charged straight after the prey that had separated from the group. A high-speed chase erupts across the vast savannah. The gap is constantly narrowing. Then, in an instant, it lunged forward and pounced, causing the zebra to slide across the hot, dry ground. The remaining animals immediately swooped in, trapping their prey amidst the chaotic dust of the savannah. Then, all the movement began to slow down. The herd of zebras in the distance continued to flee amidst the hazy yellow dust. Meanwhile, the lions began to stand up around their recently subdued prey. Savannah gradually fell silent again. But in this land, every successful hunt quickly leads to the appearance of others, because the smell of blood on the savannah has never belonged to just one predator. The smell of blood began to spread throughout the scorching savannah. Their bodies were nearly exhausted after the high-speed chase under the harsh African heat. But in the savannah, a successful hunt often marks the beginning of another battle. From the distant meadow, those familiar hoarse laughs began to echo. Hyena appeared. Short, heavy shadows slowly emerged from the dry grass in the scorching savannah sun. Don't rush in immediately. The entire pack continuously moved around, observing the reaction. One of them took a few short steps forward. Lioness roared a warning. Dust flew up as the claws slammed across the ground. But the hyena didn't leave. They continued to move around the hunt like tireless, tenacious shadows. Hyenas don't need the speed of lions. Their greatest weapon is the erosion of numbers. A large pack can continuously harass, ambush, and then retreat, gradually exhausting their opponent in the midst of a prolonged struggle. And the most dangerous thing is their extremely strong jaws. The bite force of a spotted hyena can exceed 1,000 pounds per square inches, enough to crush large bones right in the middle of a savanna. another lioness suddenly lunged sideways and bit fiercely into the lioness's hind leg before retreating extremely quickly. Immediately, other individuals continued to take turns approaching from multiple directions. Attack stealthily, retreat, then charge again. But at the height of the chaos, a tremendous roar echoed from the distance. The giant male lion charged straight into the pack of hyenas amidst a swirling cloud of hot dust. Just one powerful pounce is enough to send the entire pack fleeing the area. An individual lay motionless amidst the hot, dry, dusty ground. The battle of numbers is finally over. But the savannah has never been peaceful for very long. In this place, any chaotic noise could attract other predators from afar. Clouds of golden dust are constantly being carried across the vast grasslands by the hot wind. Far away at the riverbank, a herd of zebras slowly made their way down to the scarce water source remaining during the dry season. The sound of hooves echoed steadily on the cracked mud along the shore. A few individuals began to lower their heads and drink water in complete vigilance. Because in the savannah, water sources are always the most dangerous. The river surface was almost completely still at this moment. Only the murky water lay still under the scorching sun. But deep beneath those murky waters, a colossal predator awaits. Two cold, piercing eyes slowly rose from the surface of the river as the nearly 5-foot-long body was almost completely submerged. Crocodiles don't hunt using speed. They hunt with absolute patience. Sometimes they lie motionless for hours under the murky water, just waiting for a single moment. A zebra began to step deeper into the soft, sinking water's edge. The distance at this point was extremely dangerous, but the zebras still hadn't realized what lay hidden beneath the calm surface of the river. Then, in an instant, the surface of the water suddenly exploded. A giant crocodile leaped straight out of the river and clamped its hind legs around a zebra's leg at extremely close range. The zebras panicked and recoiled from the water's edge as the death roll erupted amidst the turbulent, murky mud. The prey continuously struggles in desperation as it is dragged down into deeper water. But things didn't stop there. From beneath the murky water, more crocodiles began to emerge and simultaneously lunged at their exhausted prey. The river's surface nearly exploded amidst violent churning, and black mud swirled along the Savannah's banks. Those cold eyes continued to slowly rise above the murky water. The attack is over, but the predators underwater haven't left yet. In the Savannah, crocodiles have never disappeared too far from the shoreline. Just one more careless step, and this tranquil river surface could explode at any moment. The sun begins to cast a deep red hue over the African savanna. The late afternoon sunlight reflected dimly on the river's surface, which was gradually calming after a series of chaotic hunts. A warm breeze blew gently through the low grass along the riverbank. In that nearly silent space, a lone, predatory figure began to appear. His toned body moved slowly along the riverbank, maintaining absolute vigilance. His eyes constantly observed every subtle movement between the yellow grass and the muddy water's edge. Leopards don't hunt in packs like lionesses. It hunts alone, silently, patient, and it's extremely dangerous at close range. The almost silent footsteps continued to approach the water's edge. But just beneath the low grass ahead, another ambusher was waiting. Norwar. Only the slightest movement began to slowly swirl in the dark mud along the riverbank. Its enormous body blended almost completely into the low grass along the riverbank. The black tongue constantly flicked out to sense movement in front of it. The distance between the two predators was now extremely dangerous. He still hasn't realized the danger lurking beneath the low grass by the riverbank. Then, in an instant, a giant python suddenly lunged out and wrapped itself tightly around the leopard's shoulders and chest. The two immediately plunged into a fierce brawl amidst the muddy twilight. The python continued to constrict tightly, while the leopard frantically bit and scratched in retaliation to escape the deadly grip. Then, at the height of the chaos, a powerful scratch to the eye forced the python to loosen its grip. The leopard immediately sprang back and escaped the ambush amidst the churned-up mud along the riverbank. Meanwhile, the leopard lay beside the tree trunk, covered in mud and blood. It was breathing heavily, its eyes still fixed on the dark grass where the battle had just taken place. The savannah gradually became quiet again. But in this land, even the most dangerous predators can become prey in a moment of carelessness. The sun was gradually setting behind the savannah. A dark red light reflected off the murky river amidst the thick black mud. The air was almost suffocating. The riverine animals began to retreat from the water's edge before darkness enveloped the entire savannah. But amidst those calm waters, a hippo family still moved slowly along the riverbank. These enormous bodies continuously create large waves in the shallow water. The juvenile swims close alongside the adult hippo in the murky, dark mud. It seemed like everything was still safe, until the water behind them suddenly shook violently. A massive body suddenly shot up from the murky water and locked its hind legs onto the young hippo's leg at extremely close range. The surface of the river almost exploded as the panicked calf thrashed about violently. The crocodile immediately dragged its prey down into deeper water amidst the mud and turbulent waves. But just a few seconds later, another massive body suddenly hurtled straight towards them. The adult animal immediately went berserk and plunged straight into the murky river. But this time, it wasn't just one individual who counterattacked. The entire herd of hippos simultaneously lunged and violently attacked, causing the water's surface to almost explode amidst the chaotic black mud. The crocodile thrashed about desperately, but ultimately had nowhere left to retreat. The river's surface finally calmed down. Only small waves still rippled in the murky water. The hippos stood protectively around the calf amidst their low, menacing growls. In this place, even aquatic predators can become victims by touching the young. The sun gradually sets behind the horizon of the African savanna. The golden blades of grass swayed in the cool afternoon breeze. Near the water's edge, an adult giraffe slowly observes its surroundings. Its long neck was constantly raised before each step down into the shallow mud. Giraffes are not predators. But in the savanna, even the most docile creatures can become extremely dangerous opponents when cornered, especially at the water's edge. Because this is the most dangerous moment for giraffes. To drink water, it has to spread its front legs wide and lower its neck close to the ground, a posture that significantly slows its reaction time. And that's precisely the moment predators are always waiting for. Amidst the low grass in the background, a group of lionesses silently approached. They move extremely slowly across the tranquil savanna. No ruar. Don't rush out too soon. They spread out their formation to approach from multiple directions. One circled around to the back, the other moved closer to the water's edge. The distance is becoming increasingly dangerous, but the giraffe still hadn't realized it was surrounded. Then, in an instant, the hunt erupted. The flock of chickens suddenly leaped out of the grass and sped straight towards his hind legs at incredible speed. Dust and debris immediately exploded all along the riverbank. The giraffe was quickly surrounded by the entire pride of lions. Initially, it repeatedly launched powerful kicks to intimidate its opponent. But faced with such overwhelming numbers, it gradually became unable to withstand the onslaught. A lioness suddenly lunged and bit him in the neck. The deer lost its balance and fell heavily onto the riverbank. Just a few seconds later, the entire pack immediately rushed in to subdue him. The hunt ended with a meal that required almost no effort. Low, rumbling sounds echoed through the tranquil savanna. The giraffe had completely collapsed, and the entire pride of lions began to gather around their fallen prey. The savannah gradually calmed down, and the hunt finally ended with the pride of lions emerging victorious. The African savanna is entering its mass migration season. The sky was covered in golden dust as thousands of wildebeest began to move across the parched grasslands in search of water and new pastures beyond the horizon. From afar, the ground seemed to shake with each rapid rhythmic step of the entire herd. A chaotic cacophony of cries echoed throughout the vast savanna. None of them wanted to stop. Because behind them, the heat, food scarcity, and predators are relentlessly pursuing this massive migration. But the greatest danger lies ahead. A wide, muddy river blocked the path of the entire herd. The water surface appeared almost perfectly still. Only a few small ripples slowly drifted across the dark, muddy water. But beneath the surface of the river, many crocodiles were waiting. Cold eyes surfaced in the murky, dark water. Meanwhile, the enormous body was almost completely submerged in the deep mud. During the Great Migration season, the herd of wildebeest crowded the water's edge in a chaotic mass. Footsteps echoed along the riverbank, but none dared to jump in, until one of them suddenly leaped off the edge of the bank. Just a few seconds later, the entire flock immediately swooped down after them. The river surface erupted with mud, waves, and chaotic crashing sounds. The wildebeest jostled desperately to get to the other side of the bank. Screams of panic echoed along the river. Then the first ambush occurred. The water suddenly erupted as a crocodile clamped its hind legs around a wildebeest in the middle of the river. The prey struggled violently before being dragged down into the murky water. Behind them, the entire herd continued to charge forward. It can't be stopped. There's no turning back. Another one slipped on the muddy bank and was immediately trampled in the chaotic migration. The savannah has no place for those who lag behind. Beyond the stream, more crocodiles continued to emerge from the deeper darkness. Sudden, repeated bites occurred amidst the desperate jostling of the wildebeest herd. The river's surface was covered in black mud, with huge waves and sounds of panic. Some individuals eventually reached the other side of the bank and then sprang up onto the dry ground. But behind them, the chaos continues. The river gradually calmed down as the last of the fish left the water. Only slow ripples spread across the dark red sunset. The Great Migration continues towards the savanna horizon, but not all of them can cross the River of Death to survive another season. The African savanna is entering a severe drought season. The lakes gradually disappeared amidst the dry, cracked land that stretched to the horizon. Hot winds whipped up yellow dust, covering the grasslands. Many herds of animals began traveling further each day just to find a little water left in the dying savanna. And then, amidst the hazy dust in the distance, giant shadows began to appear. A herd of African elephants is slowly making its way through the drought-stricken savanna. Heavy footsteps gently shook the dry, barren. The massive bodies, weighing tons, moved in long lines across the grasslands that had been almost completely scorched. No creature in the savanna possesses the overwhelming strength of the African elephant. An adult individual can weigh over 12,000 pounds. Even lionesses and hyenas usually avoid direct confrontation with these giants. The elephant herd continued to move deeper into the arid region. Long hoses continuously swept across the ground, searching for any remaining signs of moisture. Then, unexpectedly, an adult elephant stopped in front of a large tree trunk near the edge of the low-lying area. It began using its tusks and head to push hard against the dry tree trunk. The sound of cracking wood echoed through the silent savanna. Just a few seconds later, the entire massive tree trunk was uprooted and then collapsed onto the dry, dusty ground. Elephants often break down tree trunks or dig deep into the ground to find water and the roots that still retain moisture in the parched savanna. The young individuals quickly moved towards the newly exposed moist soil. It wasn't just the elephants that found this water source. From a distance, herds of zebras, wildebeest, and buffalo began to appear around the remaining small lake. The atmosphere immediately became tense. Herds of animals constantly huddled at the water's edge in desperation, amidst the increasingly intense heat. Then, right at the height of the chaos, a giant male elephant suddenly went berserk. Its roar echoed across the savanna as it charged straight toward the edge of the lake. The ground shook beneath that colossal figure. The zebras, buffaloes, and wildebeest immediately panicked and scattered away from the water's edge. But the male elephant still charged forward, thrashing its trunk violently and kicking up dust all over the savanna. None of the animals dared to stand and confront them directly, because when male elephants go berserk, even the largest predators in the savanna steer clear. The sound of enormous footsteps continued to echo around the small lake. The elephants quickly took over the entire water source area. Other animals could only watch helplessly from a distance amidst the hot dust that blanketed the savanna. The sun was gradually setting below the horizon. The last remaining small lake in the arid savanna now belongs entirely to a herd of giant elephants. And in this place, when water becomes scarce, strength is almost the only law that remains in the harsh natural environment of Africa. From above, the African savanna looks strangely peaceful. Golden grasslands stretch to the horizon. But beneath that tranquility, the struggle for survival never ceases. Every dawn opens a new hunt. And here, not everyone survives until sunset. Hunting shadows covered the grassland. The enraged horns tore through the encirclement. If a Cape buffalo charged straight into a pride of lions in the middle of the savanna, what would happen next? Kruger National Park is located in northeastern South Africa. Ground temperature exceeds 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The small pools of water shrink into thick, muddy puddles, where hundreds of animals are forced to appear each day to drink their last sips of water. In that stifling atmosphere, a pride of lionesses lay huddled together in the sun-scorched yellow grass. Each individual weighs up to 550 pounds, possessing nearly 100% acceleration 50 mpn. Just a few short seconds. They are ambush hunting machines designed to lock onto and suffocate their prey. But today's target isn't honey badgers or young zebras. A giant Cape buffalo weighs nearly 2,000 pounds in progress. Muscles bulged beneath the dark, mud-covered skin. The thick horns that meet on his forehead form a natural steel shield, strong enough to crush bones with a single head-on collision. On one side are the assassins hunting in formation. On the other side is a living block of steel that refuses to back down. The attack erupted in a flash. One lion lunged at the hind legs to cripple the animal's ability to move, while another leaped onto the shoulders, looking for an opportunity to strangle it. The lion in front was thrown further away. 10 feet its body tumbled violently through the red dust. The remaining buffaloes immediately retreated as the buffalo began a furious counterattack with direct charges. The ground shook under each heavy step. The curved horns swept across the air like a giant axe blade. A wild buffalo tried to silently make its way across the hunting grounds, unaware that 23 lions were lying in ambush in the tall grass. In just a few seconds, the entire pride of lions simultaneously lunged out, surrounding them from multiple directions. The buffalo resisted fiercely with powerful blows, but the silent crossing quickly turned into a brutal battle for survival on the African savanna. The African savanna is a land of contrasting extremes. Majestic to the point of being overwhelming, yet also harsh and cold. Endless golden grasslands stretch to the horizon, nestled under a vast, seemingly peaceful sky. But behind this tranquility lies an unceasing struggle for survival. During the day, the sun blazes down on the ground. The temperature easily exceeds 104 degrees Fahrenheit. The dry, dense air made each breath a struggle, and every step drained my energy. Precious water sources are sometimes located far away, a few miles. This forces herds of animals to risk crossing long distances just to find a chance to survive. The open space allows for observation from a great distance. But that very fact also makes this place a deadly challenge. There is very little cover, very few places to hide. A blade of grass rustles gently, a shadow flickers by. Or perhaps the unusual stillness amidst nature. All of these could be warnings that danger is imminent. Imagine a magical scene amidst the endless grasslands of North America, a herd of pronghorn galloping like the wind. Each powerful stride shook the ground, and from above, their speed appeared as unstoppable streaks of movement across the vast prairie. With its slender body and long, powerful legs, the pronghorn antelope is not only the fastest antelope in the world, but also the perfect symbol of the art of survival through speed. They can reach speeds of up to nearly 62 miles per hour, making them the second fastest land animal on the planet, second only to the cheetah. At that speed, most predators in North America would be nearly unable to catch up with them. Compared to the Thompson's gazelle of the African savanna, the pronghorn gazelle is less agile in sudden changes of direction, but it excels in long-distance running. The sun gradually sets behind the vibrant red savanna. The lioness walked among the dry grass. The crocodiles sank into the murky water. The hyena continued to gnaw on the remaining carcasses, while the elephants and buffaloes disappeared into a cloud of red dust. In the savanna, there are no absolute heroes or villains. Only creatures that are fighting for survival remain. Comment on the animal that scares you the most in the savanna. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to follow more fierce survival battles.